think working for suffrage was just opening the door for all of the things that are going to come in the future for women to accomplish for the world. I think everybody should have a chance to do something for the world and for your community.
What about the changes that you've seen in women's lives?
Well, it's remarkable. My goodness, women did nothing when I was born but stay home and slave and wash and iron and cook. Goodness, they were dull compared to what people are doing now.
Evelyn was initiated into this land by other women who were helping her, and she admired their knowledge. I mean, one thing about Evelyn is that she loved competent people, and she did not like incompetent people. She did not suffer for fools gladly. This was a woman, you had to know what you were doing.
A life of tea parties and sewing, no, I don't think that was ever on the cards for her. She had an extraordinary eye for the incongruities of space and proportion. And I think that's what comes again and again out of her photographs.
I think it's fair to say in general that men who photographed the Western landscape during the 19th century focused on the landscape as an empty place, as a wilderness, as a place that you could regard from afar or perhaps march into and conquer. But Evelyn Cameron, like some of the other women who began photographing Western landscapes early in the 20th century, really thought of the landscape as a historical space, a space that was shaped by people, and a space that in turn shaped people's lives. I think in Cameron's self-portraits, you do get a sense of a person who's incredibly self-confident, adventuresome, tough, but also a woman who has somehow an incredible sense of fun.
I think people noticed her talents at a very early age. She was in her first rodeo in 1901 in Mitchell. She became the first ever lady bucking horse champion of the world. Her last competition was in 1925, although she competed on exhibition broncs until she was in her 50s. In 1975, she was the first woman inducted into the Rodeo Hall of Fame, and she was the first Montanan inducted into the National Cowgirl Hall of Fame in 1978.
The other thing I think about Fanny and the women who performed in rodeos and Wild West shows is when people went to those Wild West shows and saw women riding broncs and standing on bareback on horses and, doing all kinds of tricks, that had to make people rethink the capability of what women's bodies could do.
Fanny was destined to be great. She competed in a man's world as an equal, and she was an incredible athlete and tenacious woman.
When Alma came back to the community in the mid-40s, she came with something with a library specialty, and she came with some very, very unique background in terms of making sure that a library like this finally got a very fine catalog.
She really planted the seeds about tomorrow. I mean, Alma was one of those people in the community who really supported that. And, I can remember her saying things like, "Oh, don't you want to learn about that? Isn't that just fascinating?" She would always make it exciting, when she would bring up a topic, and you could always better yourself. And she always encouraged people to do that. Learn more. She said that once you learn something, nobody can take that away from you.
Been with us for a long time.
No, I haven't.
You've been touring or what?
Oh, I've been all over the place. But may I start with the most important thing first?
Sure.
As you know, and as you stated, the Metropolitan Opera is celebrating their centennial year this year.
Right.
And I would like to give this to you in grateful appreciation for your efforts in having opera stars on your show. Maybe it gives us a chance to show that we're a little more human, maybe, than some people might think we are.
Household name across north central Montana, Norma Ashby sat behind the desk of KRTV's very first TV show nearly 50 years ago. Now, in a recognition that's long overdue, Norma becomes the first living woman to be inducted into the Montana Broadcasters Association Hall of Fame.
When I started my career there, I was only in my 20s, and we had no idea that it would be 60 before we knew it. I mean, that's the way time goes.
At the time, Norma says a majority of women were still at home.
Sort of through me, they saw the world, met interesting people, and it was also a time when a lot of famous and interesting people were coming through Montana.
I challenge every one of you to write your story, because everybody has a story.
Will our mystery challenger enter and sign in, please?
Some actresses take us by storm. Some, like the lady we pay tribute to with an honorary Oscar, steal quietly into our hearts. Myrna Loy had a sweet way with a sharp line, and she could communicate more with a delicately raised eyebrow than most performers can with a raised voice.
Life is so complex, and even television and radio and newspapers pile so much on us, so to speak.
I think that it's wonderful that we have all of this, that we can be aware. It's tiring, of course.
Yes.
Because one is aware of some tragedy that's happening on the other side of the world, and it can be very wearing. Well, I hope we get bored with war. That's what I hope. But I think it's wonderful that we can know so much about what is happening. And
it's important that we use what we know.
Freedom of the press is number one important. I mean, freedom of communications.
This is for every little res kid, every little urban kid, every little native kid out there who has a dream, who is seeing themselves represented and our stories told by ourselves in our own words, with tremendous allies and tremendous trust from each other.
Those women live in me. The things that I do are totally tied to these women who have gone before. I just absolutely feel like I carry them with me, and every day I have conversations with them about different things. And so coming to find the history of those women in Montana has informed how we did certain things as we came to understand what they had done.
Well, I think it's been positive, really positive. And I don't think he'll ever be able to turn that back. It's been set in motion, and I think it's there to stay.
For 15 years, President Cruzado has done so much for Montana State University. Between improving student enrollment, graduation rates, research expenditures, land grants, and more.
I said, well, from Puerto Rico, which is 98% Latino, I wonder what's the Latino population in Montana. And I remember telling him, I have never been in Montana. I don't look like anyone there. I don't sound like anyone there. What do you see in me that I'm not seeing? And what he said was, well, your experience with land-grant universities, your commitment to students, and we're looking for someone with a lot of energy. And once I walked in here, that was it. That sealed the deal, particularly when I met the students of Montana State.
Young women, right, telling me how important it was for them that there was a woman in that position, then it dawned on me, right, that it was that I needed to do it in a very special way. They also feel that this is something that women normally do.
Let me use this opportunity to say thank you for the opportunity of my lifetime, and now and forever, go Cats.
And I think it goes without saying, President Cruzado will be missed, especially by her favorite furry friend.
Champ, how do you feel about President Cruzado's retirement?
In Bozeman, Cassidy Powers, MTN News.
Thank you.